All right. All right, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Literally Me. Third time's a charm here, hopefully. Tristan, as always, joined by my pal Dino. How you doing again?
I'm okay. I mean, our recording software just quit on us after me starting off with the news. I guess he wasn't having it.
Yeah.
So,
You
yeah,
said that there's a piece of news that's going to piss me off. You did not mention that there's going to be a piece of news that was going to piss off our recording engineer Craig.
apparently it's this one. Apparently it's the creep announcement.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, I guess let's just go ahead and get into the news. I mean, for today's episode is Lars and the Real Girl.
Mhm.
But I feel like we're just so flustered right now from all the technical difficulties we've had. Um, but yeah, anyway, before we get into the movie of the week, though, why don't we get into some news, some that will piss off maybe myself or our recording engineer AI thing.
So before I get into the one that's really going to piss you off, they're making a spin-off series of Creep, which I know you're a big fan of the franchise. It's going to be titled The Creep Tales, and each episode of the series will focus on a new victim in the world of the deadliest, most socially awkward serial killer. What do
Sick.
you think about this? I know I sent it to you already, but maybe you can give us your thoughts as a Creep fan.
Yeah, I had kind of forgotten about it, and I actually just watched Creep 2 yesterday, just like by complete coincidence. Letterbox had posted a photo of
Mhm.
like a screen grab from it where he's drinking the
Oh yeah.
wine. He's like, "This better be Coppola." And I was like, I'd only seen Creep 1, and I loved it. I actually had not seen the second one, so I put it on, and it was awesome. I love Mark Duplass.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm super super excited for that. For the Creep Tales. What do we know what it's going to be on?
This was I saved it, but that was like 10 days ago I saved this news piece, so I'm not sure if there's been more information since then, but I don't think so. I think it's just like the basic announcement that they're
Cool.
making it. But maybe you can look it up.
Yeah,
Um,
you said it's going to be called the Creep Tales.
the Creep Tales, yeah. No, the Creep Tapes, not
Creep
Tales. I was wrong.
Tapes. Okay. Okay.
Tapes.
Creep Tapes. That makes more sense. Um, yeah, I'm really curious. What about you? Have you seen the Creep movies?
I've seen the first one. I've never seen the
Hmm.
second one. Um, yeah.
I
I
highly recommend it. I actually there are moments of it that I prefer to it.
really.
It was I just love that character that he plays.
Mhm.
It's so he's so creepy and unsettling, but he's also very endearing, which I really like at the same time.
So the second one just a new victim and it follows the new victim, or is it like multiple different?
Yeah, so the basic setup essentially is this woman. She like started like her own like sort of like Vice-esque like internet show where she is like an investigative journalist kind of,
Mhm.
and she sees a Craigslist ad for someone who's like who posts like an ad like I need a videographer for a day, and he claims he's a serial killer or whatever, and it's Mark Duplass. So she spends the day filming him and stuff
Mhm.
for this thing, and that's kind of where it then takes off from.
Okay.
But it's really neat. It's an awesome movie, and I'm excited because they're doing Creep 3 as well. So
Yep.
it's a lot of Creep coming up.
A lot of creep coming up. It's a very cool concept. I dig it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I love the wolf mask.
Yep. Iconic.
Iconic, iconic mask.
Okay. So this next news is also going to make you, I think, happy, because John Woo, and this is very unusual, he's remaking his
Hard
own
target.
film.
Which one?
He's The Killer. He's remaking The Killer.
Oh really?
He's just this is the first time I've ever heard of a director remaking his own film. I guess he saw it and was like, I can do this better now. It's gonna release August 23rd on Peacock.
Interesting. I mean, a few other directors have done this, but this is very.
Who's done it
Um,
before? I've never heard of this anywhere.
Hitchcock did it. Hitchcock did it with The Man Who Knew Too Much.
He did.
Um,
Totally
and
forgot about
then Michael Haneke did it with Funny Games as well. Made an English remake for
it.
Funny
Okay.
Games. with Nicole Kidman. Um,
Damn.
so the
Then I guess
killer.
not as
Oh, it's
uncommon as
coming.
I thought.
Yeah, it's coming out on Peacock.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm here for that. I'll definitely watch it. You know me, and I'm a John Woo fan, so I'm here
Yeah.
for it. At first, I thought you were gonna drop on me Hard Target. I was about to fucking scream.
But have you seen The Killer? Is it like up on your John Woo?
No, I haven't seen The Killer though.
It has very great reviews.
It's
Like the
supposed to
rating
be
on
the John Woo movie as well, and I claim to be a fan. Really, I only just really love like two or three
your
movies of
fraud.
his. Yeah. But yeah, I got to check out obviously the original before I get into the remake. But when did you say it's coming out?
It's no, August 23rd. So I
August
guess
23rd. Okay.
there's potential for a double
Two,
feature. Watch the original one and then the new
yeah,
one. I
hell
think
yeah.
that would make for a fun
Two
day.
months 2 months from today, day of recording at least.
Yeah. Okay. So another one before I get into the one that's really going to piss you off. But they're also
I love it. I
remaking.
love this countdown that we're getting. It's like, all right,
Well,
third
you're
one,
not
but
ready.
not the one that's going to piss
Honestly,
you off yet.
you're not ready for this. But
All right.
they're remaking Possession, if you've
I saw
heard.
that.
So
Yeah, I saw
yeah,
that.
Robert Pattinson and Parker Finn, who did Smile. Very
Yeah,
cool
that one.
guy.
This one pisses me off, by the way. Kind of.
Does it? I think because Robert Pattinson and Parker Finn are attached, I actually have like high hopes for
Okay.
it because he's a great director and he's a great guy. Like I've texted with him,
Yeah,
and Robert Pattinson is just like one of my favorite actors, and he
this is
might
true.
star in it, which is still unsure. But at least he's gonna produce, so I'm very excited for this, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I guess that's true. I guess I'm just like of all the movies to remake, I was like, I feel like this was one that probably didn't need to be, but I'll still watch it regardless. You know me.
I mean, there's always like people are like very upset online. I've seen that they're remaking it, but like in my opinion, it won't take away from the original one. Like I get it, but even if this one sucks, which I don't think it will, you still have the original one.
For sure.
So I think they could go into like new and like interesting directions. Sure, like we need more original films, that's true, but I don't mind this one. And if you have like like two very talented people attached, I'm just automatically excited to be honest, because I don't think at least like especially Robert Pattinson, like he has so much
Yeah,
on his plate. I don't think he would do this if he didn't have like something cool in mind. So,
that's
and
fair.
Parker Finn, I mean, he's gonna be very busy. Smile was very successful. He's doing Smile 2, which is coming out soon. So, like I said, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
Hmm. Okay, are you ready? You ain't.
I'm ready. Of
So, the Russo brothers, your
course.
favorite
Yeah.
director duo,
Yeah.
is making a new film
Is it
together
with
with Netflix.
is it with Ryan Reynolds as well?
It's not with Ryan Reynolds. That's the only thing that could like really blow this for you, but it's gonna star Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, um, Anthony Mackie, Giancarlo Esposito,
Uh,
um, Ki Hui. How's he pronounced?
yeah,
From
Kiwi Kwan.
okay,
Yeah.
he's gonna be in it as well, and Brian Cox.
Oh,
And
okay.
just wait,
Uh,
the budget for it is
oh God. Hold on,
reportedly
hold on, 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 hold on.
the budget is gonna kill you. The budget
Can
is
you
gonna
tell me?
kill you.
Can you tell me what type of movie it is first, and then I can guess how much they're fucking spending on it?
So it's called The Electric State, and I think it's like a sci-fi-ish
Is it an
film.
original story at least, or is this like an existing thing?
Let me look it up because
Okay.
I'm not sure. So, of course, it's behind a paywall. Okay,
Was the Gray Man an original idea of theirs, or what? Where did that
I
come
think
from?
so.
It was an original idea.
Yeah.
Okay, then I hope this isn't an
Um,
adaptation.
I'm trying to look it up because like the original report is behind a paywall, obviously, which I hate.
Mm, yeah.
It seems like an original thing. I can't. It's based on a graphic novel.
Okay. So it's a sci-fi kind of thing, a sci-fi
Uh,
action.
This is the image that they have.
Oh my God. All right, how much is this fucker gonna cost?
It's gonna be $300 million.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fucking nauseating. I will say, did we talk about the Mission Impossible thing last week or last time? Have you
I think
seen what the budget of the new Mission Impossible is at right now?
I have, yeah.
It's like over $400 million.
But the thing is, with that, it's because COVID happened, and then
I don't care, but I don't care what the reason is. I
no,
really
no,
don't
no.
care.
Oh,
That's
you have
insane.
to hear me out. I'm going to change your opinion on it. I'm going to change your for sure.
All right, change it.
COVID happened and the strike happened, and Tom Cruise said that all the people are going to be paid regardless. So they were paying the cast and crew over like months and months and months, and that just skyrocketed the budget. So people were getting paid. Tom Cruise, I mean, the budget sounds insane, but if you look into it, they were paying people to work,
Is
which I
that money
respect.
a part of the budget? They're actually including that in the budget costs.
Apparently, that's what I heard.
God damn. Yeah. Well, I'm glad the Russo bros are given so much money to make horse shit. Yet again, they're the luckiest men in Hollywood, and yeah, best of luck to them in their careers.
The funny thing is, I saw so many people online just hating on this so much. They said this cast sounds like the most AI generated film.
It's fucking terrible. They are awful. Like I really don't know any other way to put it. They are fucking awful. They're the worst. They're the fucking worst people in Hollywood. They suck. And those are the only two people I don't care if I burn any bridge with. That I will be very vocal about. They're fucking terrible.
I'm gonna get them
Me
on the
personally.
podcast
Yeah, I'm
sometime.
not saying this. Dino does not consent or confirm anything. This is just me saying this shit. He does not what is it like at the beginning of films where it's like the producers do not support or anything from the commentary that might be said or whatever. That's Dino anytime I hop on
I'm
the
gonna put
podcast.
disclaimer up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna get them on the
Anyway,
pause just for you guys. You three can just like beef with each
fight.
other. I'm just gonna be in the background just cheering for both of you
Yeah.
guys, all three
Yeah.
of you
All
guys.
three. All three of
Yeah.
us. Um yeah. Yeah, well good for
Mhm.
them. Good for them.
Yeah. But moving on to more positive things, what have you been watching in the last couple of days? Anything interesting? Anything cool?
Yeah, man, I've been so I've been watching some stuff. I think last time I talked about I was kind of in a little weird space where I was like I wasn't really excited to watch much shit. And I feel
Mhm.
like I'm slowly like kind of like getting back to like actually finding stuff and being like, okay, this is really exciting. I'm loving that I'm watching this right now. Um and one movie that I want to talk about that I did watch probably a week ago is a movie called Chuck and Buck. It's a movie by, well, it was written by Mike White, who is a great writer. He and an actor. He was Jack Black's homie in School of Rock. He's the creator of White Lotus, and director of White Lotus. Just a great filmmaker and writer and all that. And Chuck and Buck is a real early one. I don't think it's the first thing he's done, but it's really early. It came out in 2000. And essentially, the idea is that his mom dies in like the opening scene. So he invites an old friend of his from childhood to come to like the funeral or whatever. And he does. And they haven't seen each other in years. The guy like moved to LA and is now like a music industry executive or whatever. And you can tell that like that Buck, who is like the Mike White character, that he has like a weird like fixation with this guy Chuck, his friend, who now goes by Charlie. Um, and I don't know how much I want to spoil, but although I will say the thing that was quote unquote spoiled is actually what made me interested in seeing it. And
Mhm.
it's not really a big spoiler as much as like if you went in completely blind and you heard.
Hey everyone, Dino here. So I'm currently editing the episode, and we had some trouble with our recording software that day. As you heard already in the episode, for some reason it was acting really strange the whole day, and it just cut out like the next 15 or 20 minutes of this episode and then started recording again. We're not sure why, because it was saying that it's recording, but it just didn't. So we tried to recover the missing audio. That's why this episode got delayed, because we were trying our best to figure out a way to do that. It wasn't possible, so the next 15 to 20 minutes is just gone. So, what I decided to do, I'm just going to try to recap what we were talking about. Bear with me because we recorded this episode like 4 weeks ago, and you guys know how bad our memory and my memory is. So, I'm just going to try my best to tell you what we talked about. So, I think the last thing Tristan was talking about a film he saw called Chuck and Buck, um, which I guess spoiler, but he said it's not really a spoiler because it was the thing that made him actually watch the film. It's about these two guys, Chuck and Buck, and Chuck's mother, or maybe Buck's mother, died. So um, they run into each other again and talk about the good old times because how they grew up with each other and how they used to play. And they had this thing where they used to play a game called Chuck and Buck Suck and Fuck, which I was like, what? What's going on? But Tristan explained to me that I mean it's still a very weird and strange concept, but it's also a lot more heartfelt than one might think hearing that. So that's what he talked about. And I think then I talked about some films I saw, maybe The Bike Riders and Easy Rider, Inside Out 2 as well. Maybe that's in the next episode. Like I said, my memory is horrible. So I think those were the films we talked about. And then we started getting into this week's film, which is Lars and the Real Girl, a film we've both seen before, so it was a rewatch for both of us. And the first thing we did is just like a little plot recap. We just talked about the film and what happens in it. And then we got into some things we liked and maybe didn't like as much. I remember that Tristan, he was a big fan of the first half of it and just like the concept. And then once the town comes together and it turns, he said, very sappy. He just wished it would have went into a different direction. I was in the other boat actually. There was a thing that I liked a lot about the film, just how wholesome it got, and yeah, once the town starts coming together to help this person dealing with this mental health issue, um, in a very creative way, that's just something I liked a lot. And then we got into the filmography of the director Craig Gillespie. And then all of a sudden, someone joined our call, and it was none other than Ryan Gosling himself, which was super insane. And we're very sad that it didn't record that. But yeah, he just joined our call and just talking about how much he loves us and how much he loves the podcast, and how you should definitely leave a like on this episode and subscribe to this amazing podcast, which was super nice of him. And then he also complimented Tristan on how much of a great director and just actor he is, and how jealous he got watching Tristan's new short film, It's Not That Bad, which is out now on YouTube. You should definitely check it out. And yeah, it was just super nice of good old Ryan Gosling himself telling us that. And he just complimented me saying, oh, you gained a lot of muscle recently, which I don't know why he said that, but yeah, it was super insane. Like I said, it's very sad that it wasn't recording. So I think then he left the call because he had some important meeting about some MCU project coming up. He told us which character he's playing, but obviously we can't tell you guys. So he just left, and then our recording software, as we started talking again about Craig Gillespie's filmography, then it picked up again. So yeah, that's where the recording resumes. I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
Um, but it has Billy Bob Thornton. I think he's like a kind of like an over the
Mhm.
top sort of vulgar like basketball coach. But yeah, I haven't seen it. I've only actually seen one of his other films afterwards. That film Dumb Money that he did last year about the Reddit stock thing.
That's the only one of his that you've seen apart from Lars?
Yep, I know the others are like very well known, but I have not seen it. And one of them I know you is highly recommended
Mhm.
by you. So
Yeah, I'm a I'm like a fan of his. I liked a lot of his films, like his Fright Night remake. I think is just
That's the one.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's the one you talked about, that I watched, I think, 2 years ago, and I watched the original one and then this one right after. And he really took that original thing and turned it into something else, and it's super, super charming. With Colin Farrell playing the vampire next door, it's super great. He did I, Tonya, which is incredible and really, I think, set up Margot Robbie as like a really big Hollywood actress. I think that was the role that people were just like, okay, give her everything. Cruella, I surprisingly also liked a lot. I didn't ask for the Cruella film. I mean, I watched the 101 Dalmatians as a kid, but
Yeah.
then Emma Stone was in it, so I was like, I'm gonna check it out just for her, and it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. Honestly, I liked it a lot. The only Disney live action spin-off remake, whatever, that I actually really liked, and they're making a second one. He's making a second one,
Oh,
which I'm
interesting.
excited about. He did the Pam and Tommy show, which is
That's right.
incredible, and you have to check that one out on Hulu. I think you'll like it. With Lee James playing Pamela Anderson and Sebastian Stan playing Tommy Lee, and he's also
Seth
doing
Rogen is in that
Supergirl,
too, right?
which Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
He's playing the guy who stole the sex tape.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That dude Don Harvey, who was in the film Method that I worked on, he was in that as well for a couple episodes. He plays the
Do you
private
know
investigator.
he's a private investigator? Okay, he's a great character. But yeah, he's also doing apparently the Supergirl film with Millie Alcock, which I'm also very much looking forward to. So he's
Cool.
busy, he's making good films and a lot of good films involving women, strong women, which I really like. So yeah,
Yeah. We love the women here. You know that. Um,
certainly.
are there any? I know you mentioned the one scene with the flower, but are there any other? Do you have like a favorite moment of Lars and the Real Girl?
I like the moment where the whole town comes together to help him out and to take forgot her name again,
Bianca.
Bianca, where they all take her out and they, they tell Lars like, Lars, she's busy, you can't just expect her to always be there for you, and he's like really angry,
Yeah.
but sort of accepting that okay, she's busy, the town loves her, the children wanna like she's reading to the children at the hospital or school, whatever. So I really like that one. I like this positive viewpoint of hey, there's someone with a mental illness, and I know it's not like this in real life, but you would wish that people would help people like that. So just the town coming together to help him with this issue, I thought was very sweet. There's a scene where they're in the church and they're talking with like the townspeople, and they're all like, "Oh no, he's insane, he's weird." And then this one woman is like, "You have a sister
You.
who is, yeah." Like she just tells the other what they have, and sort of she's like, "We're gonna help him. Lars is a great guy," and I really like that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
What about you?
I
You
I
have
yeah, I think my favorite, it's not even a scene, but I think that the whole first act I think is actually like a perfect setup. Like absolutely perfect. I already mentioned in like specific detail that cut to that shot of Paul and Emily just sitting there is like one of the greatest like reveal slash like opening like intros into a scene that
yeah.
I really really love, and it's just so good. Um, and yeah, I really really I love the way that it's set up so much that almost the rest of it is a little bit difficult for it to reach that height for me personally, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this started off just so good, so strong that you would really have to take a very bold and like brave turn for it to like match up with that. So yeah, I think literally just the whole first half hour, I think is my
Mhm.
whole favorite part. It's amazing.
It's a great, honestly, like a very great first act. So I get why. Super
Yeah,
fun.
it's amazing. Um, I'm trying to see here. Do you have any other kind of thoughts on the film or anything in particular you want to mention about it before we get into our film picks of the week?
Yeah, not right now. I think I said everything. I mean, apart from that, not a lot to say on my end. Do you
Yeah.
have any closing thoughts or?
Not really, although I am curious to know on a scale of 1 to 10 sex dolls how much Lars is literally you.
That's a tough one. I mean, I like how sweet and sincere he is, and I definitely want to be like that. So I might give him like one or two, but apart from that, I'm not
Yeah.
like Lars, but I just like how wholesome he is and how nice he is. So I'll give him
Yeah.
a two because I think he's definitely someone that more people should try to be, not the whole issue thing, but just the
Yeah.
niceness and how kind he is.
Yeah, I
What
think I
about
got to
you?
go in the same sort of boat, like two to
Okay.
three, but really closer
Yeah.
to a two. And really, that's just because I wish I was more like had more of that niceness
Yep.
to me that he has. But I don't think, yeah, I'm really have anything in common with him. But if I had a sex doll, I'm sure I would love her and take care of her like a real doll, like a real person.
Would you name her Bianca? Would you name her something else?
I would have to come up with something original. I wouldn't want to bite RG's flow like that. I've already done
That's
enough
true.
stealing of his shit. Maybe a middle name. Maybe her middle name would be Bianca as homage to
Yeah.
her foremother. But shall we get into our picks for this week for our literally me
Oh
movies?
yeah.
Do you want to kick it off?
I can kick it off. Let me just pull up my list here. And for my list, I went into the direction this week where I took films that involve around people who have like a very specific and kind of weird obsession in a way, that is also linked to something bigger. So like a bigger issue, a mental issue, things like that. So I went with that sort of weirder obsession side.
Okay,
And for
interesting.
my first film, I picked one film that is one of my favorite films, and I rewatched it for the first time. And this is a film that I can't wait to talk about because it's a film that I think everyone who wants to become a filmmaker and anyone who just wants to make art or create something in general should watch, in my opinion. It's like a recommended watch for anyone who wants to make films. And that is the film Brixby Bear. Have you ever seen or
No.
heard of Brixby Bear?
I am familiar with it. It has what's his name, Kyle Mooney, right?
Yeah, Kyle Mooney and Mark Hamill.
That's right.
I like that, and also Alexa Demi, which I'm sure my girlfriend wants me
Mm.
to mention because she likes her a lot. But I showed it to her last night. We rewatched it, and like I said, you have to watch this film. Maybe sometime we can have like after our Tom Cruise whatever when we have
Yeah.
films that we recommend to each other. This is one you have to check out because it's about this guy and he got abducted as a kid and is being raised or like was raised by Mark Hamill and his wife, away from society in this little bunker somewhere in Utah. And they pretty much just sheltered him from the outside, and told him like, oh, there's radioactivity outside. You can't go out there. And his father, his abducted father, Mark, played by Mark Hamill, he goes out every week to a little studio set that he built, and he makes this show called Brixby Bear for him. And they use it pretty much to manipulate him and to teach him things through this children's TV show called Brixby Bear. And so they tell him like, this is how you have to sort your trash, to recycle. This is what you have to do, and things like that. But through this
Fair.
children's TV show that he makes.
Yeah.
And so then the police comes and they free him, and he's like now 25, and he gets reunited with his original family and his sister, and he just has this obsession with Brixby Bear. He's like he's at home, he's sort of like back to a normal society, trying to to fit in and all things like that. But all the thing he can like think about and care about is Brixby Bear. So he asks him like,
Hmm.
when is the new like episode of Brixby Bear coming in? And they're like, what's
What
Brixby
is
Bear?
that?
So
Yeah.
he finds out that his abductive dad made this, and so he has the idea, I'm gonna make a Brixby Bear film because all the people out there, they don't know what Brixby Bear is. They don't know how awesome he is. So I'm gonna show them. And so he gets a couple of friends and he makes this film or tries to make this film. And I just think, like I said, everyone who wants to make films should watch this because I think it comes from such a pure place because this is something that he loves, and he's making it for himself for the most part because he wants to see where Brigsby Bear's adventure goes from here, because he wants to see it, but also for other people to experience what he experienced. And I think it's just a very admirable thing, and I think anyone who makes art should have this approach of, hey, I'm gonna make this for me first, for myself first, and hopefully other people would enjoy it as well. So that's why I like this one a lot. And he uses his trauma and his built up like mental issues that he has because of what happened to him to make this film. And he also uses things that happened to him in the film sort of to process them. So I just love this film, and like I said, people need to check it out. It needs more love. And yeah, Andy Sandberg's also in it for like a couple of minutes, which is also really fun. So yeah,
Interesting.
a big
Interesting.
recommendation from you.
Yeah, I had heard about this movie ever since it came out, but I don't know that I was like ever always fully aware of what exactly it was, apart from him having this weird obsession with his bear. So that actually really intrigues me even more to check it out. It sounds freaking dope.
It happens in like the first 5 minutes, like the setup where the police comes and they free him, and then it's him trying to adapt to this normal society while also having this obsession, which is really
Yeah,
cute. And he's also very wholesome. And like Lars, just super friendly and super nice to people. So yeah, there's very big parallel.
that's a great pick.
What's your first one?
For yeah, so for my choices today, I was a little stuck and we kind of was having some trouble for a minute figuring out what movies to pick. And I decided to pick movies where there are people who are either living in a constructed reality or are trying to create a new reality, except it isn't so sappy and sweet and nice and everyone's super supportive of it. So kind of like the bizarro Lars world. Um, so the first one I want to do, which I believe we've talked about, and maybe obvious or lazy or whatever, but I do want to mention M. Night Shyamalan's film The Village from 2004, which I know we did talk about because you saw it for the first time, correct? Like a handful of months ago.
Yeah, that's another one that I wanted to mention that I watched recently, but I saved it for next week, so this is perfect.
Oh,
We can,
okay. Okay, perfect.
yeah, watch it for the
Um,
first time just a couple weeks ago before my vacation.
oh, was it that soon? I don't know why it felt like so much longer ago. Okay.
Oh, like I think last month.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, The Village is incredibly interesting film that really gets better every time that I have seen it, to be honest with you. It's a movie that and spoiler alert per usual, whose twist at the end like is actually so smart. Like if you just read it on paper, it's easy to be like, "Oh, that's like a gimmicky sort of thing." But when it's actually put into practice and you see it within the context of everything you've experienced for the previous like 75 minutes or whatever, it actually is such like a depressing, like shocking twist that it really sticks with you and is very, very effective. Um, and essentially, the entire idea of the film, and again, spoiler alerts here, so skip ahead about a minute, is that the whole idea with the village is that that entire village is completely constructed. And their reasoning for doing so is obviously far more nefarious than any of the motivations in Lars, where everyone does it out of the goodness of their heart. These people are convinced that what they're doing is for the better, but in actuality, it's really not. And it's really kind of messed up and weird and twisted. But it's a movie that I think is one of my favorites when I think of films about people who have constructed fake realities or people who are trying to construct new realities for themselves and trying to keep the real reality a secret. And that's essentially kind of what they're doing with Lars, only obviously, like I said, it seems to work out very well and be very wholesome for Lars, whereas The Village is not very wholesome and doesn't really work out as well. But a movie that I really did want to mention and talk about. And what did you think about it? Your first time watching it?
I liked it, and I can see how it gets better on rewatch. I think I didn't appreciate it as much. Then when I look back at it and think more about it, so I think once I watch it more, I like it even more. But I still liked it and enjoyed it a lot. I think um it's very M. Night Shyamalan in a
Hmm.
very good way. I also like the design of that monster beast, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
It's super cool. And
porcupine
all the
kind of
scenes,
thing.
yeah, all the scenes where you just see it like in the woods just flashing by. Just super cool.
It's very
And the twist
creepy.
is not spoiled, but twist is very interesting. And I
Yeah.
like the direction it went to, which was different than what I expected, but in a good way. So a very good M. Night Shyamalan. And his next film is coming out pretty soon as well, isn't it?
And that's also in July, I think, or maybe it's
Yeah,
August.
I
His
think
daughter
it's.
just dropped a movie actually that I saw last week, The Watchers.
Mhm.
That's about it. So anyway, your second film.
I picked the film Welcome to Marvin, starring Steve Carell. Have you heard of this? Do you know anything about it?
I've never even heard of it. No. Welcome to Marvin.
Welcome to Marvin. So it's about this guy, and he is just in his house all day playing with these little, just like these little figures, I guess. That
Oh, I know what this is. Yeah.
have you seen it?
No, but I am familiar with what it is, right? The Robert Zemeckis movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he just uses these figurines and he takes these photographs of them and these situations. And he was a war like he was in war. He's a war veteran and he has PTSD because of that, and also something that happened to him. Should I don't want to get too much into it. If you're interested in watching it, going in blind.
I am. I'm looking now that it is based on a true story though. Like there is a
It is based on
documentary
a
that
true
the film
story.
is based on.
Yeah. Okay, so just very briefly, he takes these photographs of these figurines. He has some issues because he was in war and has PTSD, but also something happened to him because of an interest he has or something he did. He got beat up by these guys, and he has to go to trial, and everyone is just trying to get him to do that, to say what happened, so these guys can get locked up, but he just can't seem to get it. So these figurines come to life and they all represent like women in his life. And so
Hmm.
they talk to him, and it's sort of this mix of these figurines living and also him then placing them, things like that. And I just took this parallel to Lars because he also has these inanimate objects that he puts life into, and they help him for Lars grief, I guess. But for this guy, it just helps him with his trauma and the stuff that had happened. So that's why I picked Welcome to Marvin. It's hard to explain without spoiling it. So
No, that's a fantastic, fantastic choice. I'm actually really excited to check it out. It looks almost like a Kaufman kind of film in a way.
it really does feel like it, especially once those figurines come to life and just act out, and you have this very cool effect of them being alive, which is super cool. I guess it's not everyone's cup of tea. I don't think the reviews are all that great, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was just a very good film about someone using his hobby to deal with stuff that happened to him.
Hell yeah. That's an awesome pick. I'm definitely gonna check that one out.
Awesome.
Um,
What's your next?
my next one is one that might not make much sense. It's a movie that I mentioned earlier at the top of the pod, that I saw recently and is a new release that everyone was freaking out about it being the most twisted movie you'll ever see. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, and maybe this pick makes sense and maybe it doesn't. But it came out, well, it was made in 2022, but I think is properly now getting released, and that's a film called The Coffee Table. Have you heard of this movie?
What's it
Okay,
called?
so The Coffee Table.
The coffee table. Okay. Haven't heard.
It's another one where the dynamic is so far up my alley with just the left turn that it just makes. And I don't know that I'm going to say too much. This won't be everyone's cup of tea. I will say everyone online is saying this is the most messed up thing. This is the crazy, like this is. And no, it's really not the most messed up thing in the world. Like unless I'm just completely twisted, I really did not think it was that bad. But I do see why people, particularly parents, might have a tough time watching this film.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to find a way that I don't really spoil it for anyone because there is a turn at like the 30-minute mark that is what makes this the pick I made for Lars. Um, but essentially, what I will say about it is the opening idea. It opens in this like dimly lit like room showcasing furniture, and the salesman is trying to sell them this really gaudy, awful coffee table. And the wife does not want it. It's the wife, the husband, and this young, newborn child, like just a week old or something. And eventually, like they keep going back and forth with this guy. The wife doesn't want it. The guy's clearly lying, but the husband, kind of just to take a firm stance against his wife, he goes, "All right, you know what? I'm going to buy the coffee table anyway." And when he tries to put it together, it's missing a screw, so he can't fully finish it. So he leaves the glass out and leaves the table up. And the wife is like, they kind of get into a fight, but she goes off and she's like, "All right, I'm going to go do some grocery shopping. And you know what? I feel bad. I'm going to go get a bottle of wine, whatever." And while she's gone, something happens with the man and this coffee table that then alters his reality as he knows it. Not in a fantastic way. That's not the way I mean it. But just something happens where he's like, "Oh, fuck, that just happened. And now my life is completely different. And my wife is on her way back." And the whole rest of the film, the whole last hour, is him literally just trying his best to cover up this new reality that he has to face and try to keep everything status quo. It's very much like a Seinfeldian kind of thing, like I mentioned, force majeure on here
Mhm.
last week, I believe, or whatever, or maybe that was off the pod when I mentioned that. But um, again, I don't want to spoil and say exactly what it is because it is. I do agree with the people online who all say go into it blind. I think you should go into it blind. But everyone who's going in expecting that they're going to see the most fucked up film ever made, like everyone's saying, that is not the case by any means. I understand why people can be upset by it, but all in all, it's not. It's very, 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 very funny. If you have a fucked up sense of humor, it is a very funny movie. Very funny. Um, that's about all that I will say, though, because I genuinely don't want to spoil that experience for yourself or anybody who might want to check it out. But that's the
I'm
coffee
glad
table.
you.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Spanish film as well. So when I watched In a Glass Cage, a film that I mentioned earlier, I was like, okay, I see that the Spanish are just fucked, you know, uh, in the head. But the coffee table is very, very, very funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not saying more because it already sounds interesting enough, and I'm glad that you did you know like anything about it beforehand? So
No,
you went in blind, just
I
people
went in
saying,
completely
"Oh,
blind with everyone saying this movie will ruin your day. I was like, this did not ruin my day at all. In fact, it made my day better because I was like, wow, what an interesting thing I can think about now. And
yeah,
again, very right up my alley where I'm like, yep, just something that is such a split second thing that like drastically changes the course of somebody's life. Like I
mhm,
love that kind of shit.
yeah."
So I was so here for it. But again, I do understand why people may not like it.
Mhm. So I guess if people don't expect it to be the most fucked up thing, they'll enjoy it more. So I'm glad you said it beforehand because I'll definitely check this one out. This is going on the watch list. So
Yeah.
now knowing that even if I read something beforehand, which I probably won't, to not expect that and
And again, this might just be telling of my own mental state. Like I might be completely fucked in the head because it is like the wide consensus that everyone's like, this movie is fucked up. And I'm like, it really was not that fucked up.
but then
I
again,
understand where it's coming from, but it really wasn't.
people online just like to exaggerate.
Of
So
course.
maybe you're just the only one being like completely honest.
Maybe. I'd be curious to know if you do check it out. Definitely let me know. And for any folks at home listening, if you have seen it or you do see it, drop us some comments. Let us know. I am curious to know what the people think. Honestly,
Rope, this we mean you. You're the one who's
this
always
is
watching.
another one. Rope, this is another one for you. In a Glass Cage and this should be a double feature.
His episode, man. We're mentioning him left and right. So,
I know. I know. Go give him a follow.
okay. So for my third film, I chose another film that deals with someone, and in this film, paranoia is like the big mental thing, and how he deals with that. And that is the film Safety Not Guaranteed, which
Ah,
have you seen it?
saw it for
Probably
the
with
first
that
time
reaction.
just a few weeks ago. Yeah,
Okay, awesome. So it stars Aubrey Plaza, Mark Duplass, which we
my
mentioned
boy,
beforehand, and Jake Johnson. And Jake
my
Johnson is the
other
reason,
boy.
our boy, which he's the reason why I watched this a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
because a couple of years ago I did a Jake Johnson marathon, just because I like him so much. And this is a very interesting film. So pretty much he works at this newspaper, I think. It's been a while, but they find this newspaper ad for someone saying, I'm going to travel to the past. I've done it before. Who wants to come with me? Safety not guaranteed. It's like the last line. And that's why the film is called Safety Not Guaranteed. And so Jake Johnson goes to that small town somewhere, to find this guy, and his boss sets up a team of two other people, who work at the paper to go with him. And he has an ulterior motive why he's there. He's out there doing something else, um, while the other people are investigating what this guy, who he is, and what he's trying to do, and is he just batshit insane, or what else is going on? He's super paranoid, thinking the government's behind him, saying he's traveled to the future or the past before. And I'm not going to go into much more. I think this also benefits from not knowing where the story goes. Why is this guy trying to go to the past? Is he able to? Those are all the questions that um, rise up during this film. And I think it's a very cool film. And um, what are your thoughts about it if you've seen it already? Do you like this one or?
I did like it. I wouldn't say it's like among my favorites. I think it needed more Jake Johnson in it.
Yeah.
Um, and I do like it's a classic Duplass Bros kind of movie. Even though
Mhm.
they didn't direct it. What's his name?
Colin
Colin
Trevorrow?
Trevorrow, who
Yeah.
went on to do the Jurassic World films. Did it, and I do like that the Indian kid who's in it, and he actually is in a scene in Creep 2 as well.
Yeah. Karan Sony? Sony?
Yeah,
Karan Sony?
he's a very likable
Also
actor.
in
I liked him a
Deadpool.
lot.
He's playing the taxi driver in
Oh yeah,
Deadpool.
that's right. And he voices the Indian Spider-Man, I think, in Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse or
That's true.
whatever.
That's true.
Um, very very funny young man. Um, yeah, I do like it. I do like it. Again, a very nice sappy kind of movie, very Duplass in that way,
Mhm.
which I do love. But also, it's like, oh, this is trademark, where it kind of has this like nondescript kind of like generic music all throughout.
Yeah.
But the premise is so good, and
It's a
is
very
actually
cool film.
executed very well.
Yeah. And like I said, I chose it because he has this obsession of traveling to the past. And that's why sort of I made the connection with Lars
Yeah,
and obsessions, my theme with obsessions,
yeah,
unusual, bizarre obsessions. So what's your
that's
third
right.
pick?
That's a fantastic pick. All right, so yeah, my next pick is a movie that I'm very surprised has not been mentioned on this pod, and correct me if it has. But Martin Scorsese's film from 1982, The King of Comedy. Have you seen this movie?
I have, but I don't think we've ever talked about it.
Yeah, which is crazy because I think that this is like top five Scorsese for me personally. Um,
Oh, for
for the
sure.
longest
Same.
time, it was like number three for me. It honestly still might even be. It's in the top five. I love that movie. Um, and there is something that kind of reminded me of that Rupert Pupkin character when I was watching Lars, because and for those who don't know, King of Comedy is starring Robert De Niro as he just I don't quite know what he wants to be famous for being a comedian, I guess, but he wants to be on the Jerry Langford show, which was played by Jerry Lewis, and he just desperately wants to be on this late night show and wants to be accepted by Jerry, so much so that he goes to some fairly extreme lengths to get on the program. which I think is fantastic and amazing. Um, and the thing that I kept thinking about when I was watching Lars, though, is the fact that Rupert, instead of like with Lars, where everybody else is like willingly like playing into this game for him, Rupert Pumpkin is like forcefully making other people play this game with him.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that it's a nice, interesting sort of 180-degree look at kind of the more homeliness of Lars and seeing it in a little bit more of a disturbed and depressed kind of manner in the King of Comedy.
That's a good pairing. Honestly, King of Comedy is a great film. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of wild to see back then when Joker just ripped it off completely, which
yeah,
was very because I watched it like a couple of months or like maybe a year prior to that for the first time, and
yeah,
then seeing like them just doing the exact same thing was kind of crazy, but I still
yeah.
liked it.
The Just a great amalgamation of Taxi Driver and King of Comedy
Yep.
sandwiched into a superhero movie.
Todd Phillips, big Scorsese fan for sure.
It is clear, and now I'm wondering what for the next Joker, if it's going to be very much like New York, New York, or what we're going to get.
I think one from the heart. I think he's
Yeah,
throwing some Coppola in there as well. I think
is
that's a
he?
big.
Okay, we'll
I
see.
think so.
I'm excited to see who he rips next.
Yeah. And the
All
third one
right.
as well. He should just do like each film just ripping one of the greatest
Yeah, the
directors.
third one is just like Brian De Palma. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Okay, so my last film, and initially I wasn't really sure what to pick, because there's one film that I think would work with Lars very well, and sort of
Okay.
having the female perspective. But I didn't watch this film. I've only heard of it, so I was like, should I do it like the first film that I haven't even seen as a recommendation? But I didn't. But that's the film Amelie, which the French film. Have you
Okay.
ever?
Yes, I'm aware of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, because I think it's also about this girl who's like kind of. I'm not sure if don't rip me, guys. I have not seen it, but I think it's about this like lonely girl who then finds like a guy who she falls in love with, but she sort of has this like weird OCD obsessions from the one scene I have seen, where she's
Hmm.
obsessed with like putting her hands in those legume bags. It's an
Yeah.
obsession. That's the only scene I've seen. But I didn't pick it. But instead, I picked another film that is about a very obscure and bizarre obsession, and that is the film Swallow. Have you
Ah,
seen this film? Heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've not mustered up the courage to watch it yet.
Yeah, but you know what it's about. I'm pretty sure
I
if
know
you
she'd be
say.
swallowing thumbtacks and all sorts of spiky shit.
Yeah, it's about this girl and she's pregnant and she sort of develops this obsession of swallowing things and it starts off really small and gets bigger and more extreme. And because she's pregnant, like her husband,
Yeah.
his like parents and everyone around her, friends, they're all like very concerned because they're like, you could kill this baby.
Yeah.
Um, which is like I said, like you said, hard to watch, but on the other hand, it's also a great, and I'm not going to spoil why she does it and what it all means. I'm going to leave that out there.
Is there like
Uh,
a twist in the film?
it's not like a big twist, but like there's a reason why there's like a deeper,
But like a proper reveal, I guess.
not really, from what I remember, it's not like a big thing, but it's more like
Okay.
there's more underlying context, I
Okay.
guess, that gets revealed
Gotcha.
throughout. And if I remember correctly, and it's been a while since I watched it, and my memory is not good. I think everyone is just so concerned with the baby's health and not her health. Like, hey, you shouldn't swallow it because you could get hurt. They're like, you're gonna hurt the baby, which I
Yeah.
think is
Yeah.
like a big thing. But yeah, a very unusual but very good film. So I recommend that one, and it fit with the bizarre obsession thing.
No, that's a great pick. Because I've been wanting to see it, and that was not the one. Is that the one that's by the same woman who did Titan, or no?
It's
Titan.
not. It's not. It's
Did
by
she? What did
Carlo
she?
Bella Davis.
Okay. What did she do? The one from Titan. Did she do the one where the girl eats raw meat? Raw.
The Raw, yeah. I
She did
think
raw.
she did do Raw, yeah.
Okay.
Raw and
Okay, I always get those two like mixed up.
Mhm.
I am aware of the one you were talking about, and it's actually currently on Hulu.
There you go.
Um,
But Raw also looks very interesting. I've been meaning to watch Raw for a very long time. I think it's also a French film,
yes.
um, which Amelie is as well. So
Is Swallow English spoken, like English language?
it's English.
Okay, I might check it out later this evening.
Oh yeah,
Honestly,
why not?
it's on Hulu, and I've been wanting to. Okay, well, interesting coincidence per usual because I, for the first time, also was considering putting a film on here that I've not seen, but I
Damn.
got a notification from Letterboxd was just put up on streaming, was just thrown up on Prime and on Tubi.
Mhm.
Now, I did not pick it, but I still want to shout it out. Now that you shouted out yours, I'm going to shout out mine.
Okay.
And the one that I was thinking of putting, which I have not seen, is a film called Good Boy from 2022. It's by a guy named uh, Viljar Bo. It's a Norwegian film, so I probably just butchered that. Um, but essentially, the idea of the film is there's this guy who is like a millionaire, like playboy kind of dude, and he meets with some like chick on like Tinder or some dating app, and they go on the first date, and it's like everything's so good to be true. And when she goes back to his place, he lives with a man who dresses up as a dog and acts like a dog inside the house, and he treats his this guy who's in a dog costume like a dog and feeds him and pets him and all this stuff. Um, and obviously, the parallels to Lars are glaringly obvious as to why. But I thought it was so interesting,
The I just looked it up, and the dog mask looks absolutely terrifying.
terrifying.
Insane looking. And I like the original title, which is Meg, Deg, and
Meg,
Frank.
yes, yes, I love that.
Dude, this looks sick. I'm gonna check this
Yeah,
one out, honestly, just for the mask alone, which looks. Dude, if that thing was in my room, I would just. I'd
I would faint.
honestly cry. I'd die on the spot if I saw
Yeah,
that thing.
um, yeah, I got to check it out. It doesn't have like incredible reviews by any means on Letterboxd and all that. I think it's sitting at like a 2.5.
I think
Yeah.
2-2 from what I just saw.
Oh, is it 2.2? Yeah,
Let me check again.
it's not sitting pretty.
Oh
But
no, it's 2-5.
2.5.
2-5.
Okay. Well, those point through do make a big difference when you're in the twos, for sure. But I feel like that's a good thing. I think that means that it's probably rather divisive. Um, yeah, of sorts, perhaps.
Mhm.
But no, the film that I did pick instead, which I don't know if it's gonna work, but I think it will, and that's the classic Hollywood film from 1950, Sunset Boulevard,
Hell yeah.
by Billy Wilder. Have you seen this movie?
I've never seen it, but I'm planning a Billy Wilder marathon pretty soon. I'm
Ooh,
looking
sick.
forward.
That's gonna be well. We'll talk about that in a second because I love me some Billy, and I'm curious to know what you're starting to line up for that.
Mhm.
Um, but Sunset Boulevard is incredible. A great noir. It's not like a proper noir in the sense, but it still is in a way. But young William Holden, he's like a screenwriter, and he goes to this home of this former actress. She was a silent film star that Gloria Swanson plays. And she lives in a complete, just like deluded, like delusional world where she still is fully convinced that she is like the biggest star on the planet, even though she's obviously not, and she never leaves the house, and no one cares to hire her or have anything to do with her. But she watches her own movies all day. She's like obsessed with herself, and it's such it's interesting because Wilder always does this, where he takes a kind of like an exploitative sort of topic or something that you're like, oh, this is like a cool like quirky sort of idea, but then like tackles it with like I don't know that I've ever used this word before, but tackles it with quite a bit of gravitas, where it actually like ends up being rather deep and dark and disturbing. And this film does get kind of disturbing just in terms of seeing how completely unhinged and like out of whack she is. But it's filled with great performances, some cool cameos from from filmmakers like Cecil B. DeMille comes in and plays himself. Fucking Buster Keaton pops in and plays himself. A lot of cool cameos throughout. And it's just it's an awesome movie, and I'm honestly due for a rewatch because it's been a minute and it is on Criterion now, so I might have to treat myself. But tell me about this Billy Wilder marathon you got lined up here.
Yeah, I got it planned because the place I work at, and I told you about the Eames chair and all of that, and
Uh-huh.
they actually Eames, like the Ray and Charles Eames, they actually worked with Billy Wilder. So the
Interesting.
place I work at is actually like tied into Billy Wilder in a way, which I found out. And
Oh
they do
wow.
like for a gift shop. I think they have a box set of like a couple of Billy Wilder films, like his
Uh-huh.
best films. They also have a book about all the just the set design that they helped
Yeah.
with on Billy Wilder films. So I want to dive into that and also get into like the set design and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing that ties into these films. So I'm super excited to get into Billy.
When are you planning on kicking this thing off?
Probably in September when I have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I want to watch Sunset Boulevard. I've never seen The Apartment, which I need to
Got to
watch.
see it. Great film.
Yep. Sabina is another one. Ace in the Hole.
Yes, great
Um,
one. My favorite.
then there's another, I think, in the box set, Irma La Dolce, whatever it's called.
I don't know if maybe there's an English title for an ignorant like me. Is that like Double Indemnity? What?
Not sure, it's the official title on Letterboxd even. I don't think
Wait,
it's
what's
the.
it?
It's called
What is it?
Irma.
Oh,
Irma
Irma La Douce.
La
Oh,
Douce. Yeah.
with Shirley MacLaine, Jack Lemmon. Yeah, I've never seen or heard of this before. Looks cool.
That's another one, and I'm not sure what else in that box set, but I'll purchase that and get into um, all of
Yeah,
that.
another recommendation. I doubt it'll be on there because I don't think it's a huge deep cut, but a deeper cut of his is the Lost Weekend,
Oh,
um, which is incredible. Ray Milland plays an alcoholic who's like a few days sober or something,
mhm.
and he goes on like this massive bender, like when he like goes. I forget if he goes out of town with his wife or some shit. I don't. It's been a long time, but I remember loving this movie, and I love Ray Milland, and it's a great character study. Like early, like this is like 40 something, 45.
Yeah, I might just even go like beyond the box set and just throw a couple
I
more
think
in
you
there. Might
should.
go through as a whole filmography if I'm feeling it.
I think because you got Double Indemnity. I don't know if Double Indemnity's on the box set, but that's a must see. Like you've got to
Mhm.
see that. That's the quintessential noir, essentially. Um, yeah. So you got some great films to catch up, and I got a lot of Billy Wilder. I got to catch up on as well. Like the 7 Year Itch, I've never seen.
Yeah, maybe if we watch them about the same time, we can talk about them a little bit.
I think I think a September Billy marathon honestly sounds fantastic. That sounds
Yeah,
like the perfect time of year to just dine or wine and dine with some Billy Wilder, you know.
exactly.
Um, okay, well, should we go through our four picks
Yep,
each
let's
if
do
you
it.
want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I picked Brigsby Bear, which again cannot recommend enough. Please watch this film. Then I picked Welcome to Marvin, Safety Not Guaranteed, and then Emily slash not really, but Swallow.
Cool. Yeah, and I picked The Coffee Table, The Village, King of Comedy, Sunset Boulevard, and then also an honorable mention for Good Boy, which I've
Very
not
good.
seen yet. So if it sucks and is awful, then who
But at
knows?
least, hey, you got even
Don't come
more
after me.
recommendations this time.
That's right. We gave you five here. 10 total. 10 total.
And Rex,
Hey, what other podcasts are giving you 10 recs? Huh?
exactly. For
I don't
free.
know. For free.
Yep.
Um. Anyway, that was another fantastic episode of Literally Me, per usual. Um, next week we're getting into a RG film I've never seen before. I think you have seen it. And that's Fracture from 2007 with Anthony
Yeah.
Hopkins and Ryan Gosling.
I watched it just a couple of months ago for the first time. Now
You said
ordered the
it's really
Blu-ray.
good, right?
It was Netflix. I was surprised by it. Honestly, I liked it, and I
Fuck
think
yeah.
it's like a better version of All Good Things. I think it's like the equivalent of that, just better.
Oh.
Um,
Interesting.
and a great
Is it?
twist at the end, which, yeah, not
I
gonna
love
reveal
me a
anything.
twist.
I'm excited to revisit it and see if I like it just as much. Maybe I was just like really surprised by it. But yeah, ordered the Blu-ray. Cannot wait. Cannot wait for you to watch it and also
I'm
talk about
excited. Is
it.
it
Yeah,
is it like a courtroom drama or he's like a lawyer in it or something like that, or am I tripping?
I'm not gonna say.
Okay, okay.
I'm
Never
just
mind. Never mind.
gonna
Never mind.
leave it as is.
Okay.
You'll find out soon. I think
I'm
it's
gonna
better
see.
if you don't know
Okay.
anything.
I'm gonna see where it's streaming.
Mhm.
Okay, currently nowhere. I'll just have to rent that motherfucker. All right. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for next week's
Great.
episode. And then after that, we only got only really like a little bit more than a handful of films left. So
Oh,
thanks for tuning in as always. And Dino, you got your work cut out for you with this edit this week. My God.
yeah, we had a lot of technical issues. We're recording this part that you're hearing right now. Hopefully, you didn't notice. That's
Yeah,
like we did a great job if you didn't notice, but we're recording this a day later because our program just stopped working. We couldn't even talk to each other anymore.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, also
So
one more thing. I'm teasing it
yeah,
right now because I wanted to talk about it this week, but I forgot. Next week, I'm going to get into my insane flight, which I still haven't told you.
that's right. That's right.
There's a great story, personal story coming up in the next episode.
We're kicking off the episode with that because that's really how this one should have kicked off.
Yeah, but I forgot. But
Oh,
next
yeah,
week.
so did I. Okay, next week, folks. And if you listened this far to the end to find out that we fucked, like that we got fucked by the recording software and all this behind the scenes inside baseball stuff, then you are a real one. Shout out to you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening, and bye bye.